Hi everyone, and thank you for watching. So today I want to talk about some of the basic flow control things that you can do with your shell programs, and this is going to be the continuation of the shell programming tutorials. And this is something that if you get into shell scripting, this is very common in so many different things. So to kind of give you an idea of what needs to happen in an if statement, I went ahead and typed the basic syntax for an if statement here. So we start the if statement with the word if, followed by brackets here, which enclose the two values that we are going to compare using a comparison operator. And that's what all of these are, and I'll demonstrate that here in a second. And then to say we're done with the evaluation on a one-line command, we have to end it with a semicolon followed by then. So if value 1 equals value 2, semicolon, then run this command, semicolon, phi. And phi is just the word if backwards, just in case that was interesting to you. So first, let's type if, and I'm just going to compare two numbers. So the number 1 to the number 2. So if 1 is less than 2, then echo less than 2, semicolon, phi to close that if loop. Alright, so 1 is less than 2, as we can see there. So let's try something else. Let's change 1 to be the number 2. Alright, and the evaluation failed, which is why the command didn't run. And to give you another idea here, let's say we want to compare it using the greater than or less than symbols that we see in arithmetic. So a lot of people know, but just in case you don't know, this sign, the greater than sign or less than sign, holds special characteristics within shell programming. So in order for those to be interpreted properly, we have to close those with single quotes, as I'm doing here. So if 2 is less than 2, then echo less than 2, but in this case it isn't. So let's go ahead and change out 2 to be 1. Okay, so this did evaluate as we wanted. And let's say we wanted to be fancy and we wanted to use a variable. So I am going to create a variable by first typing the word variable equals, let's do 40. Okay, so now let's go back to our command, and if you watch the other video, this will make sense to you, but if not, no worries. So I am going to replace the second value that's going to be evaluated with this variable that I named variable. So we're evaluating the variable with the name variable, and we're saying that whatever the value is of this variable, use that as part of our evaluation. So if 1 is less than 40, then echo less than 2. So I mean, this probably would make sense if we change it. Let's just do hooray. Okay, perfect. So that did the same thing. And let's just say we wanted to compare two different variables. So I'm going to go ahead and do variable 1 equals 20. Alright, so now let's change the first value to be the value of variable 1. So now we're evaluating 20 and 40 because that's what these variables currently hold as their values. So variable 1, which is right here in that if loop, has the value of 20, and then variable, just the word by itself, which is up here, has the value of 40. So let me go ahead and hit enter here, and we'll see if this evaluates properly. Okay, and it did. So this is working as expected. So let's just say we wanted to use this in a script. So let's create one and let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to create a new script and I'm just going to call it if loop, and we have to prefix the script with the directive that points to the bash program. So shebang bin bash for me, but if you aren't using the same system, just type which bash and it will give you the path to where your bash directory is, and use that as your this is the preprocessor directive, so use that as your preprocessor directive. So the cool thing is that if you aren't doing a one-liner type of if loop, you don't have to have a semicolon to define or to divide every particular function of that if statement. So I'm going to go ahead and create two variables here. So let's do variable 1 equals 20, variable 2 equals 30. Okay, cool, perfect. So let's do if left bracket variable 1, which is going to be 20, not equals, so I'm using a different comparison operator here, variable 2, which is 30, then, and this is just a good formatting thing to do, so then echo hooray fee as we close the if loop. So go ahead and save your file, and I forgot to make it executable, but I'll just do that right now. So chmod plus x to make it executable, and then the file name. So if you run ls minus l and then the if loop, we now see the read, write, execute, read, execute bits on the left hand side here. So let me go ahead and let's run this loop and see what happens. Alright, so we got the output of hooray because the variable 1 value is not equal to the variable 2 value. So that condition was met and the command was run, and that's pretty cool. And let's just say we want to be a little tricky and maybe not use numbers. So I am going to go ahead and do something else. So I'm going to do read minus p so I can do user input here. So the p flag is for prompting, and I will say, do you want to celebrate? And that's going to be the prompt for this read command. And then what happens next is we are going to take our input from the read command and assign that input to the variable 1 value. So starting out, whenever the program first runs, it has the value of 20, and then whenever we run the read command, we change that value based on my input. So what I have to do is, in order for hooray to work properly, it has to not equal 30. But no, let's go ahead and change that. Let's just make that equal. I'm just going to use a different comparison operator just to make it simple. So variable 2 is 30, and so I don't forget, I'm just going to type that here. If my command equals 30, then I should get the hooray output. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and I am going to run that if loop. Do you want to celebrate? 30. Hooray. Okay, perfect. So that is a great start. But to see how this actually looks whenever it is run, we can debug our script by adding the -x flag to the very end of the preprocessor directive. So I'm going to do that right here at the very top, and then I'm going to save my file and I'm going to run it again, and check this out. So if I run the if loop, and just remember head if loop bash -x, that's really all that we're doing here. So clear my screen, if loop, oops, what did I do wrong? Yep, sorry, you want to have a space before your -x. Okay, let's try it again. So if I run my if loop for the third time, Okay, so what we see here is that whenever the program initializes, it initializes these two variables. So the variable 1 has the value of 20, and then the variable 2 has the value of 30. So then my read command is run, and we are redefining the value of variable 1. So I'm going to go ahead and type 30 here. So what we see is 30 equals 30. This evaluated properly, and then we went ahead and echoed the HURRAY as part of our output. Then if you want to see how your things are evaluated with more robust debugging, just add that -x flag as I did there for that if loop. So that's what this does. And I guess there's time. Let me go ahead and let's just evaluate a string. So if variable 1 equals taco, because I like tacos, then HURRAY. Okay, so we changed the evaluation from numbers to a string, which is perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and run that if loop again. My variables are initialized. Do you want to celebrate? And I'm just going to say test. So test equals taco. So this did not evaluate as true because test does not equal taco. So that failed. So let's try it again. Do you want to celebrate? With what? With tacos. Yes, absolutely. So now we have HURRAY on the output. And yeah, hopefully this was somewhat useful for you. So in short, here is my script that we did to create a basic user input for variable evaluation, and then on the right hand side you have my comparison operators and the basic syntax if you're using one-liners, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. Till next time.